Hey everybody, so here's your Monday lesson. I'm sorry I'm not here today, but you have a great sub, so please be good for the sub. You will be watching this lesson video, and you will either get a worksheet from the sub after you watch this, or the sub will hand it out to you. But first, we are going to be finishing our geometry formula cheat sheet. Okay, so as promised from the weekend, we will be filling out this last section over here. We are going to be learning about trapezoids, how to find the area and perimeter of a trapezoid. And then I am going to go through a couple of the problems from the worksheet with all of you. So hopefully after you finish this, you will either get a worksheet from the sub or the sub will give it to you. Okay. So a trapezoid. Let's talk about real quick the difference between a trapezoid and a parallelogram. Okay, one of the main differences between the two is that a trapezoid has two bases. Okay, I'm pointing to the bases here, but the bases are not the same length. So it's going to have different lengths of bases. Parallelograms, however, with the bases of a parallelogram, the bases are the same length. And so we say that it has a base, just one base, because both of the bases are the same length. But the bases on a trapezoid, they're different lengths. So do you see how this top part, the base on the top and the base on the bottom, they are both different lengths? Okay, you can see that with your eyes. Same with here. This base looks shorter than this base. All right, so that is the main difference between a parallelogram and trapezoid. Also, some trapezoids have right angles, as I've shown here. And so just keep in mind, a trapezoid could look something like this. I've drawn some examples for you guys. You'll see some more examples in the worksheet. But the main difference is that trapezoid has two bases. Okay, so let's take these notes. So to find the area of a trapezoid, it involves the two bases that I've been talking about. So our first base, for this one, for example, it's going to have a base. We're just going to call it base 1. Okay, and the 1 I'm going to write almost as a subscript, a little tiny number in the bottom corner. So this is base 1. Okay, base 2 is going to be this bottom base. Base 2. And it really doesn't matter if you label this base 1 or you label this base 2, that doesn't matter, as long as you understand that there are two different bases and we call it base 1 and base 2. And now with this type of trapezoid, our height is right here. The height goes from base 1 to base 2, so it is not this slanted part. Same over here, the height is not this slanted part. Our height is going to be from base 1 to base 2. So over here it works perfectly with this trapezoid that it just so happens that the height is on the side. But that won't be true for every single trapezoid. So our height is right here on the side. So knowing that we have base 1, base 2, and a height, we are going to use these in our formula for the area. So area of a trapezoid equals, to find the area, we have to add first base 1 and base 2. That's the first thing we have to do. We have to add the lengths of base 1 and base 2. So I'm going to put base 1 plus base 2 in parentheses. Notice that it is in parentheses, so when you're doing order of operations, what's in the parentheses, that's what you do first. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply it by the height. So I'm going to multiply this by the height. Notice in our other formulas, we're always multiplying base times height, base times height, base times height. In this one here, since we have two bases, we're going to add those bases first, and then we're going to multiply it by the height. Okay. Also, the last thing, we have to divide everything by 2. Okay, so that's our formula. Now, I will get into why we have to divide it into 2 in more detail later on, but do you notice how you can kind of see a triangle in here? It has something to do with you being able to identify triangles within a trapezoid. Just like with triangles, we had to divide by 2 because a triangle is half of a square or a rectangle. For now though, let's just try to memorize this formula. Area equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Try to memorize it, okay? It's going to be on the worksheet, so you will be reminded, and on every single problem on the worksheet, you have to write the area. So hopefully by the end, you know what the area formula for a trapezoid is. Now, another example, since there's so many different ways we could draw a trapezoid, I want you guys to become familiar with knowing how to identify the bases and the height. So in this trapezoid, we have base 1 at the top, base 2 at the bottom, and then our height is not on the side because these are slants. So it's not an accurate representation of the height. Our height is going to go from base 1 to base 2. So I'm going to draw a dotted line showing that our height is from base 1 to base 2. This is our height, okay? So my area formula is going to be the same. Base 1 plus base 2 times the height. So I write the H right outside of the parentheses. That means it's being multiplied, okay? And then I'm going to divide it all by 2. You also will hear the term isosceles in our worksheet. Isosceles, there are isosceles trapezoids. There are also isosceles triangles. But we are not focusing on triangles, so just sticking with trapezoids. An isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid that its sides are the same length. And that's because the angles in the corners, those are the same degree, okay? So I'm just going to draw this tick mark here and this tick mark here, showing that these sides are congruent. They are the same length, which makes this trapezoid an isosceles trapezoid. We will write an actual definition down when we're doing the worksheet. Okay, and to find the perimeter of a trapezoid, you're just going to add all the sides, just like we've been doing. So I'm going to ignore the height in this one. I'm going to add this side plus this side plus this side plus this side. In this trapezoid, I'm going to add this side, which just happens to be the height, plus base 2 plus this slant plus base 1. So you're just adding all the sides. Okay, so those are our notes on geometry formula cheat sheet for our trapezoid section. Now we are going to go on to taking some quick notes on the worksheet you are going to get. Okay, so I have kind of cut and pasted what your worksheet will look like on here. I've tried to enlarge some of the problems that we're going to do so it's easier to see what I'm doing so you can copy it down. This is the worksheet you will be getting from the sub today. So go ahead and pause the video, grab one from the sub right now, and or if the sub might even pass it out. So just make sure you have one of these before you go on to this section here. I enlarged the top section, okay? So this is the top section. We are going to do problem 1 together. We are also going to do problem 6 together. And then I'm just going to clarify this problem at the bottom, and which it's right here for you, okay? And then this is just the answer bank at the bottom of your page, which is right here. So I have this exact worksheet as you do. I just kind of picked and chose what I wanted to show you guys and enlarged it so you could see it a little better on here. Let's get started. So let's read the directions really quickly. What game did Tarzan like to play? So that's the question we will be having to answer. And to answer that question, you have all these problems in your worksheet that you need to work on. You will get your answer at the bottom here after you've crossed out all possible answers, which I'll go over that as well. So we have to do each exercise below. So there are 9 problems, and then there is also this problem here that you have to do. Find your answer in the answer columns and notice the letter next to it. Okay, so we're going to find our answer. Once we find our answer, you're going to look in this section over here. Again, it's at the bottom of your page. Okay, so once you found your answer, look for your answer in this section and look at the letter next to it. Look for this letter in the string of letters near the bottom of the page and cross it out each time it appears. So let's say you found the answer of 105 centimeters squared. The letter next to it is N. I'm going to look for that letter down here, and anywhere I see an N, like right there, right here, and right here, I'm going to cross it off. Okay, so cross it off. When you finish writing the remaining letters in the rectangle at the bottom of the page, so once you're done with all these questions, you've crossed out all of the letters over here from whatever answers you got, you are then going to write the remaining letters in this rectangular area here. Okay, if that didn't make sense, make sure you're reading these directions for yourself. Ask a neighbor, ask a partner, ask the substitute. Okay, so make sure you understand what you're doing before you start. I'm just highlighting that you need to cross it out, okay, once you found your letter. All right, let's start with number 1. So on this worksheet, there wasn't a given example like the other worksheets that we worked on. There was already one example done for you. So we are going to work on this one together. It's number 1. We have to find the area of each trapezoid. So this is one type of trapezoid, and we are given one of the bases, which is 5 centimeters. We're given another base, which is 10 centimeters, and then we're given the height. Okay, the height, again, is this dotted line. It's going from base 1 to base 2, and it gives us the height. Now, I just want to remind you that you have to show your work for everything, okay? And you need to show the formula work too. So show formula, work, and units for each problem on a separate page. If you think that you can fit all your work into this work page, then go for it. But a lot of you are going to have to either work on the back or grab a separate piece of paper to show your work on there, because I need to see that you're writing the formula for every single problem. All right. So first I'm going to start by writing my formula. So my formula is area equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height all over 2. Okay, that's my formula. I'm going to write it for every single problem that we do. And again, I'm going to highlight this part that we have to find the area of each trapezoid. We're not worrying about perimeter right now, just area. So before I even begin filling in numbers here, every single time I attempt a problem, I'm going to label it, okay? Because I need base 1, base 2, and I need the height. I'm going to label all these numbers what they are. So 5 centimeters, I'm going to say this is base 1. And 10 centimeters, I'm going to say this is base 2. Okay, so I know what my base 1 is. I know what my base 2 is. Now I'm going to label the height. And 4 centimeters, this dotted line, that's the height. Okay, so I've labeled clearly what each number is. Now I'm going to start filling it in on the side here. So area equals base 1. I'm going to replace base 1 with 5 plus base 2, which is 10. And I'm going to multiply it by my height, which is 4, all over 2. Okay, so order of operations says I should do what's in the parentheses first. What's in the parentheses is 5 plus 10, which is 15. Okay, so again, I just added that. And I need to multiply it by 4. So times 4 over 2. 15 times 4 is 60. You can do that in your calculator if you need to. And now I'm going to divide. So 60 divided by 2, that's 30. And again, I need to write my units, okay? So I know that the units are centimeters, and because I multiplied 15 centimeters times 4 centimeters, I got centimeters squared. So here's my answer. The area for this trapezoid is 30 centimeters squared. I'm going to look for that answer in this answer bank. Okay, so looking through, oh, and I see 30 centimeters squared here. That is next to the letter B. Okay, so I could highlight this just to know that, hey, I've already found this answer. And it is, I'm going to look for every B in this section here. So I see a B here, cross it off. I find another B there, I cross it off, and that's it. That's all the B's, so I was able to cross them all off. Now I'm going to work on the next problem. So right now, go ahead and try number 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and go through these. You can pause the video because I am going to talk about number 6. With number 6, notice on your paper, okay, number 6 is right here on the side. With number 6, do you see, notice how it's kind of upside down? Okay, we have 2 bases and we have a height, but this time the height is on the bottom here. Don't confuse that with your base, okay, because the height goes from one base to the next base. And you can really just turn this upside down, and now it's more like what you're used to seeing. You have base 1, base 2, and your height. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here with number 6. We are actually just going to turn it. So I'm just going to turn this over like this. So now it's more, it looks more of what we've been doing, okay? So before I begin, I'm going to identify what my bases are, what my height is, so I can get started. So here's base 1, and I just chose to label that base 1. You could have said it's base 2. Here is base 2, and then here is my height. Okay, the height goes from base 1 to base 2. Now I also need to write what my formula is. So my formula is A equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height over 2. Now I'm going to start plugging in what I defined as my base 1, base 2, and height into this formula so I can solve for the area. Okay, so base 1 is 1.5 meters. Base 2 is 2.5 meters. And the height is 2.8, all over 2. Okay, don't forget to divide by 2. Now again, order of operations says I need to do what's in the parentheses first, so I'm going to add 1.5 plus 2.5. And that'll be 4. 4 times 2.8 all over 2. Again, use a calculator if you need. So I get 11.2 for my answer of 4 times 2.8, divide by 2. Now I need to do this. I can use my calculator, think about it in my head. A equals 5.6. Okay, and again, I need to remember to have my units. I'm multiplying meters. So meters, a meter times a meter gives me a meter squared. Put that on the bottom there. So my answer is 5.6 meters squared. Again, I'm looking in this area for my answer, so I can cross off the letter. I see 5.6 meters squared right here. Cross that off. I see that it's by the letter F, so I'm going to look through these letters for every F. Cross them off. Okay, that's all the F's. All right, we've done problem 1 and 6 together, so now you have 2 problems that you can work with. We are going to look at number 2, or section 2, I should say. We are going to be finding, again, the area, but this is a little different than we're used to. So let's just read through it together. I'll help you set it up, and then it's up to you guys to solve it. So an artist designed a base for one of his sculptures with the dimensions shown. The top and bottom are rectangles. The sides are isosceles trapezoids. Okay, so we see that this is a rectangle, and the bottom is also a rectangle, but we don't see that as clearly. We see that the sides are isosceles trapezoids. So this side and this side, those are both isosceles trapezoids. Okay, so in number 10, it's asking us find the area of the front face, and it tells us the front face has a base of 20 centimeters. So I'm going to take a guess that this is the front face because it has a base of 20 centimeters. It's also right in front though. Do you see that? How it's right in front? So that's also how we know it's the front face. Number 11 is asking us to find the area of the side face, which has a base of 12 centimeters. The side face is right here, okay? So we know that it has a 12 centimeter base, and it's also more towards the side. It's not as in front. So that's another reason why we know it's the side face. And then it's asking us to find the area of the top. Well, here is the top, and the top is a rectangle/square. So you have to figure out what the area of it is, but you'll be using the area formula for a rectangle, okay? I'm going to color code some of this. So, find the area of the front face. Okay, here's our front face. It has a 20 centimeter base, which is right here. So we need to find the area for that. To find the area, we are going to use the formula of a trapezoid. And that formula is going to be area equals base 1 plus base 2 times the height over 2. So you have to determine what's your base 1, what's your base 2, where's your height. Well, I see this dotted line, it's going from base 1 to base 2, so I'm guessing that's our height. And then it's saying it has a base of 20 centimeters, so this is one of our bases. Where's our other base? You figure that out. And we also have to find the area of the side face, which has a base of 12 centimeters. So that's right over here. Okay, so this is one base, and it has a length of 12 centimeters. Here's our dotted line. It's going from one base to another base, so that is our height. Okay, you're going to be using the same formula to find the area of that trapezoid. Now the last part, find the area of the top. Here's the area of the top. Okay, this is a rectangle, so you are going to need to use the area for a rectangle. The area for a rectangle is base times height. So you determine what your base and your height is, but doesn't matter. Just make sure you're plugging in the correct numbers to get your area for the rectangle. Once you find all three areas, you can look in your answer bank for the answer, look for your letter, and then cross it off over here. Once you've answered all the questions in your worksheet, you can then, the letters that are not crossed off, you're going to write right here in this section. Okay, let me or the sub know if you have any questions. If you're at home trying to finish this for homework, I will try to be on remind. You can also email me, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.